Hi. Sending so much love to everyone. And we have a very special guest with us today, Susie, who's going to be joining us. So, before we get started for Find Your Flow, Follow Your Passion, I'd love.
Hi. Good. How are you?
Getting out to the goddess vibes and feeling it, bringing the
So
crowd.
good.
Our lives already on.
The best way to start.
Oh, sending you love to goddesses.
Aw.
We're actually dancing to goddess. I'm a goddess.
Fucking flawless.
I'm a goddess. Sending you love, Marie.
Aw.
Yeah, so I wanted to share a bit of a quote that I had about, about feeling the pain, and even if you're feeling it, don't close your eyes, while you're crying, because, sometimes it could be the place where the sun really shines. And a bit of a Alanis Morissette came up, and I feel like, what we're going to be talking about, a bit about your journey, a little bit about, what you do, especially as an embodiment coach, and how that really kind of, that journey of alchemizing pain into pleasure, which is very kind of intriguing.
Mm.
So, like, how long have we known each other? For so many years now, yeah?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know.
I
It's
think it
been a
must
long time.
be now, like back on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, back on the
Yeah, it
juicy.
would have been like, what, like 2012 or 2013 or something.
Like a decade. It probably was, and like I think back when when I met you, you were like studying med.
I was studying health science, so I was trying to get into medical school. Wasn't there yet.
Yeah, so I think that's like so inspiring your journey. So do you want to share a little bit about about your journey and how you kind of pivoted?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, like my whole childhood, teenage years, everything, I wanted to be a doctor. That was like my only goal in life was to become a doctor. Um, I think it started with the board game Operation, to be honest.
I remember that board game Operation. Was it so you really loved Operation?
I was
Like the Hungry Hippo. I really loved the Hungry Hippo game, when you're like pretty good.
uh, yeah, and then so went straight from high school to undergrad, straight from undergrad to postgrad med school. So, did 12 years of schooling, 5 years of university, and halfway through medical school, so medical school's 4 years, I'd done 2 years, and I was just like so anxious, so depressed, like so unhappy. Like I was waking up in the morning and like, if I had like one or two classes, I'd go to uni, do the classes, come home and go back to bed. Like I was so not in my highest self whatsoever. And I was in a long term relationship and
Quickly asked you, did you play Operation?
I've actually never played Operation Drunk. I don't think I've played it since
I think
like.
that could be a new kind of lockdown board game to try it. Like, where do you find Operation? You actually inspired me. Anyone, if you have Operation the board game, drop in the comment and can we please play together?
Yes. Can you play on Zoom?
Yeah. We can Zoom play together. And you're feeling like it wasn't aligning, yeah?
Yeah, it was totally not aligning. And yeah, I was like, shit needs to change. So I decided I was going to defer med school and come back to it. And I ended up leaving the relationship that I was in, and I was like, I'm just going to go. And I was going to be going back to med school, but I decided to go on a yoga teacher training, and the yoga teacher training was going to be finishing like a few days before med school started. So I actually did it in India. I went over to India and I was due to come home like a couple of days before it started, and I was just over in India like doing my teacher training, getting all into like spirituality and like becoming enlightened by the Ganges. And
You were in
yeah, I
okay.
can't go back. Like, I can't go back. That's not a thing that I can do. Yeah, so then I decided to be a yoga teacher. I kept traveling. I created a business around plant-based cooking, wrote a few cookbooks, and I did. So I went down that path, and then I ended up feeling really uninspired in that business. And I did a course at the end of last year with Laura Ellen. Her course was called Queendom, and it just changed my life. It was like the first real like personal development course that I'd ever invested a lot of money in, apart from like, you know, trainings and like yoga teacher trainings and stuff. It was the first time I'd invested just in myself, just for me, not for like the goal of like becoming a yoga teacher or like, you know, for your career. Like, it was just for me. And it just changed my life. I was like, holy fuck, like, I want to be a coach. I want to be a women's coach. I want to like create this transformation and these shifts in women that I work with. Yeah, and then it just went from there. So I birthed Sacred with Susie. And it's just, yeah, I've just been following the threads, you know, like just following the things that arise and the things that come up, like in my own life, following that. And yeah, it's a journey.
So, like, I think I want to, you know, come back to when you were studying and you were kind of feeling like not aligned with what you were doing, because there's probably, you know, a lot of people out there right now that that are studying and they're in this kind of uncertainty of, you know, maybe what they're studying is not what they want to do anymore. Like, you know, because we're in this kind of zone and lockdown is like, you know, a lot of people are kind of questioning and reevaluating. So what do you think, when you were kind of feeling like that, did you just allow your space, like, you know, what was that moment you allowed your space to kind of see other options or?
Yeah, it was definitely challenging, because it was like the only thing I'd ever wanted to do in my whole life. And I just came to a place of realizing how unhappy I was, and how like my body was suffering from the experiences that I was in. Like, I had really bad headaches, I had really bad dizziness, I had like digestive issues, and I just noticed how my situation and circumstances and the anxiety that was created around that situation was affecting every facet of my life, not only mentally, but also like physically, my health. And it was just a moment of realization of like, I need to do something about this. Like, I need to change something.
And I think that's so important. And I think that, you know that I've been through that before when I went to, when I had like that life-changing moment with you in Portugal when everything wasn't aligning. And same thing, like, you feel it in your body, feel like something's got to change. And I feel like just kind of, immersing yourself kind of an experience. And even now I kind of, am even feeling it, this week for us here in, Sydney. We've been locked down for I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
I've been taking like mental health days from work, like just taking some leave and like this because, what usually gets you through work is holidays, and I had to cancel
Totally.
holidays. But then I'm like, actually like, wow, okay, I should just take time out to check how I am. And, and I think it was, some days I'm not okay. Like some days I'm just feeling it. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Today I had, like, you could call it, well, it wasn't a mental health day. It was a body health day. Like I said to you.
Hi.
Yeah, I said to you I was sick. So I've been sick like today and yesterday. And I woke up this morning feeling a bit like lethargic in my body, really tired. And like, I had my to-do list of everything that I wanted to get done today. And I was just like, no, I'm going to indulge in this sickness. You know how, when you're sick, you're normally like, oh, fuck, like, why is my body doing this? I was like, no, I'm going to indulge in being sick and just take the day. I called it an Empress Day.
Oh, Empress Day.
So I did a hair mask, a face mask. I like used all these new beautiful skincare products that I bought. I made myself a beautiful lunch and just took the whole day off and like did a little bit of a course that I'm taking for myself, and yeah, just like taking the day off, like, and I was just at home, but taking the day out of like your normal routine of work and just like gifting yourself that day.
I love that. I love how you called that like an Empress Day. And but anyone that's kind of watching, I've seen Exploring say beautiful, like, thank you for that. If put in there, we challenge you to have an Empress Day, and
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget, to have, and you've definitely inspired me to kind of, have an Empress, call that an Empress Day, and to treat myself, because you just get so kind of caught up in, everything. And I've been feeling like you this week. I've been, a bit run down with everything and this, and, now you've inspired me. I'm like, okay, on my day, I need to have an Empress Day, because it's hard to sometimes switch off. And I think that's really what you found, being in that flow with like the feminine and kind of, doing business from a feminine way and honoring ourselves, with that. Oh, hi, Linnell. You love to. So I think, a really amazing thing that you said about on your journey, which I think would be really nice to kind of expand on, is how you kind of pivoted. Because a lot of women now that I've been talking to, within my communities of rising like female entrepreneurs, and also with Sacred Sisterhood, they've been talking now with this lockdown, they've had to think about pivoting their career, what they either did retreats or, either, we're still locked down. Like I started up, with one of my friends doing, she does one-on-one yoga sessions, like, because that's all we can do here in, here in Sydney. And like a lot of people, we've been locked down more than 3 months now. I've had to really think about it. So tell me a little bit about that, because I remember when you did the big shift from, the hip to, Sacred with Susie, and it's definitely a really inspiring journey.
Yeah, so I feel like essentially it's just about following what is in your highest excitement. So the hippie cook was no longer in my highest excitement. I was like uninspired, completely uninspired by that. And I found excitement in this completely different thing. So I feel like the first step is really about creating stillness and space in yourself, in your mind, and in your own life, to just get really clear about what you are passionate about, what you are excited about, what you do want to talk about, what you do, like, what you can't stop talking about, and like follow that inspiration. And like when you allow yourself that time and that space, you'll start to get little downloads and pings and things come through, which is like source and spirit talking to you, being like, do this, create this, do this, So it's like just following that and trusting that. And letting go of any like, oh, like I said that I was going to do this, so I have to do this. It's like
Mm.
following what's got the most energy behind it.
Oh, and I think that's so beautiful and it's so relevant, for now. Like, when I thought of this, find your flow, follow your passion, it was actually birthed when we were doing your, when we Sacred Sisterhood, we did the, what was
Yeah.
it?
Sensual embodiment.
Yeah,
I call it sensual embodiment
tapped into
practice.
that kind of creative, space. And it was literally like, I remember, it kind of really woke in, like, I was like, okay, what do I need to do that I'm really passionate about? And like I was with one of my friends the next night, and I was like, always had this idea, like what you said. And I was like, okay, I really want to talk to these amazing women in my life that have really impacted my journey, or people in my life around the world that, they're doing like amazing things, because you always look, and like you and I both have been there at that stage where you kind of look at people ahead and you're like, how do they get there? Like, how do they start? And I think
Totally.
that's so powerful, what you said is like, what does light you up? Like what is your passions? And sometimes like not being attached to something that you were passionate for, like understanding those seasons, the cycles. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So with your, you were saying a little bit about like, the work you did now. So how did you kind of, find in or tap into that kind of embodiment and that sensuality?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I wanna talk about what embodiment actually is,
Yeah,
because
I think that's so
it's
important.
it's a word that gets like thrown around and used a lot nowadays. And even myself, like when I first started using the word, I didn't really fully know what it meant. So I just want to start by sharing like what embodiment actually is, and what it means and how you can work with it in your life. So embodiment essentially is defined as the expression of something in tangible form. But what does that mean? So like if you think about embodying something, like embodying self-love or embodying sensuality or whatever it is, it's like, how do you allow that thing, that essence, to work through you and move through you in every moment of the day? So like self-love, self-love is like, yeah, I love myself. And you can say the affirmation, I love myself 5 million times. But unless you're actually living and breathing and expressing and choosing it in every single moment, you're not embodied in self-love. So it's like when something lands, when a piece of wisdom lands so deeply in your cells, in your body, that's the way that you now live life. So it's like how you think, how you act, the conversations that you have, the actions that you do, the words that you use, the things that you do. It's choosing to live from that space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I think that's really important what you were sharing about embodiment, because yeah, it does get used a lot, but to truly understand, what that alignment is and what it means is like truly kind of feeling it in your body, like saying that affirmation, but like actually saying, like what you say, like what, looking in the mirror and saying, I am beautiful, but do you feel beautiful?
Exactly. And then do you act from I am beautiful?
I
Like
am.
how do you show up in your life as
Yeah.
I am beautiful?
Is it like,
Yeah.
even your posture and everything like that, and how you're
Yeah.
how you're acting, and I think that is so powerful because I think when I was going through a lot, like I still remember the day when you were teaching at that yoga surf retreat in Portugal, and I remember like being at that stage of my life when I was really kind of depressed and this, and like people would say, hey, you're beautiful, but I wouldn't actually believe it. And people like, and I would, look in the mirror and I wouldn't feel beautiful. And I never understood when people would say that, when they'd talk about, self-love and this. And I remember, when you were teaching and we went to the yoga retreat, in Ericeira and this, and I had this moment on the second week. I don't think I told you this. And I was like walking and I was like listening to the song and the sun was rising and I was walking down to yoga where we usually do yoga. And I was like, I feel beautiful. I feel like you know what I mean? I got back.
Oh, yes.
Like, you know, I can get through this. I'd gone through like a big breakup and this, as you know, and I kind of had that moment. I still remember that moment. And I was like, that was the moment when I brought self-love back into my life. So I'm so grateful, you know, for you and that
I
journey.
love that. Yum.
Yeah, when you have those moments, and like, you know, I feel like it is as well like a wave and flow as well when we feel it. Yeah.
Totally. And it's like, it's coming back to that. It's like, I like to say it's a conscious choice every moment of your day. And like, and the thing is that like we're encoded like through childhood and society and whatever we're programmed with these beliefs that are like the opposite of self-love essentially, right?
Yeah.
So the automatic beliefs that loop, the automatic beliefs, automatic thoughts that loop in our minds are the opposite of self-love. So when you first start on this journey, it's like a conscious choice almost every second of the day to like reprogram and shift and like bring yourself back into self-love. So it's like, and it gets to be a constant journey, like throughout your whole life. Everything gets to go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And it gets to be exciting.
It gets, you know, yeah, and it's definitely, you know, it can really trigger you as well.
Totally.
I think you guys are really cool, and I wish you the best of luck. Stay safe. Oh, thank
you. Thank you.
Oh, thanks everyone for your support. It means a lot. Yeah, it's just, I think it's so important, like the work that you're doing and how powerful it is. And to actually, I think the really important part, which I liked when we were talking about it, was the surrender. So tell me a little bit about what you mean by surrender.
Yeah, so I had this moment the other day of really understanding surrender. And I have to say that surrender is something that comes really, really hard for me. It's not something that comes naturally to me at all. I'm someone that is quite ambitious and works really hard. And so surrender is the opposite of what is like automatic for me. But I had this moment with a yoni egg. And I'm going to tell the whole story on my masterclass on Sunday because, you know, it's not Instagram kosher. But yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, surrender means like surrender to the you that is here right now, instead of like pushing and forcing and trying to get to point M or Z or whatever in whatever journey that you're on. It's like surrendering into the you that exists in this moment now, like fully loving, accepting, honoring, and allowing the you that is present right here, right now. Surrendering to that version of you.
That is so beautiful.
And
like, it sounds a lot easier than it is. To surrender to you right now, definitely. And I think that kind of, you know, really kind of flows. And like sometimes, you know, the surrender is like, yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm like I said, I'm feeling all the feels. Like I'm not like you said, I'm not feeling 100%, but like I'm just surrendering to this. This is who I am in this, you know, moment in this present. You know, when a girl's saying very true, you know, I'm feeling all the feels.
Yeah, just allowing and like loving, accepting, honoring whatever is present in the moment now. Like surrendering, and it's like a flower like blossoming. Like you don't watch a rosebud and you're like, fucking blossom now. Like it opens in its own time and it's beautiful. Like it's a whole beautiful journey of flowering and blossoming and opening, and so is like every moment and every facet of our life.
And I think that, that is so important, that blooming, but like when you're ready and when you're, when it feels like it's the right time as well. And I think that's so important for anyone kind of starting something or, looking for their career or doing different things. It's like, I always found when like I kind of forced it, I didn't just surrender and just be like, this is going to flow and go. It always ends up like, not organically being the right way. And it is definitely challenging to surrender.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's when finding that space and that stillness to allow like whatever is meant to arise. And like I say, I'm not like I'm not like 100% at this. I definitely have surrender work to do.
Human. I think that's the beautiful thing is like none of us are 100%. And I think that's the beautiful thing of that being present and just being real and authentic with it. It's like, yeah, sometimes it is a bit edgy. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, I've had to be, today really open, like with work and with people around me. I'm like, you know what? I actually don't have it all together. Actually, I'm probably, I'm probably just feeling all the feels and, I don't know right now, what is going to come up and what's going to go, but I'm just surrendering to it. And I think that is so important for us, especially us here in lockdown, is we just have to, like, people ask me, like, what are your plans? And I'm like, I just have to go with the flow and see whatever is going to go. But, like, I've got to honor myself and, take a bit of time. And like you said, what you did when you were finding, pivoting or, going into alignment of what you want to do, you have to create the space for it. And a lot of us don't create the space for it.
Yeah. And it's like, how much energy are you putting into like forcing or fighting against something when you could just like relax, like let go and like let yourself fall backwards into it, like lean back.
I love that. Lean back. And you were talking a bit, Matt, like more about, like, you've got a masterclass coming up and a bit more about, I was very intrigued about alchemizing pain into pleasure.
Yeah, so I've got a free masterclass on this Sunday. It's called Become Your Own Greatest Lover. So it's all about that real deep embodied self-love. So like I said, not just repeating self-love affirmations every day and like expecting yourself to love yourself. It's not just a switch that you flip one day and you're like, oh, I love myself, yay. Like it's this constant like playing and working with it, and it gets to be a deeper and deeper embodiment every day, every moment. So it's all about finding that real deep embodied self-love and becoming your own greatest lover. So, everybody says like, if you want to be fully loved or fully chosen by a partner, choose yourself, love yourself. So in this masterclass, I'm telling you how the fuck to actually do it. Because I remember in my previous partnership, like, I knew that wisdom. I knew those words. If you want to feel fully chosen by your partner, choose yourself. If you want to feel deeper love from your partner, love yourself. But I was like, how? So that's what I'm sharing in this masterclass.
Hard to be like, how, like, we're feeling all the feels. Like, I definitely relate, like feeling all the pain, all these things coming up for us. And it's like, okay, but how can we feel that self-love and really kind of turn it into pleasure and, find pleasure in the everyday of, what we're doing. Like what I share, like, right now, like, I'm finding pleasure in the sunrise and sunset because that's the only time we can kind of, leave the house and exercise and, feel all the feels. But yeah, I think it's wild ride.
Totally. Yeah, so that's my free masterclass that's on this Sunday at 7 p.m. So the link is in my bio if you want to sign up. And oh my God, this is the best part. There's so many fucking amazing prizes. You get the chance to win a yoni wand, a yoni egg, like rose quartz, yoni pleasure palace, a face roller, this like beautiful 24 karat gold face oil. There's so many amazing prizes. And all you have to do is be there live. So sign up. And then,
exciting.
yeah, so good. And yeah, so you mentioned alchemizing pain into pleasure. So this is an online ceremony that I created. And so I just went through a breakup 6 weeks ago, actually, and it was the fucking hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I've been through breakups before. I've like been through quite a lot of intense stuff in my life, but this was honestly like the hardest thing I've ever done. And I felt so much deep pain. Like, I could literally feel my heart physically breaking. And I just, yeah, like surrender. That surrender piece had to drop through. Like, I had to surrender to that pain and allow myself to feel that pain. And like, and you know, it brought up so many deep wounds of abandonment, and it was probably the only time I've ever really processed a breakup. So it brought up the pain from previous breakups that I didn't actually feel. And through the feeling and the releasing and the surrendering that I got from that experience, like so much energy, so much creative energy, so much confidence, like so much wisdom has been able to come through as a result of that pain that I wouldn't have been able to embody if I didn't go through that. So like alchemizing pain into pleasure is understanding that every single thing that happens in your life is happening for you. So we're always gifted situations and experiences, like they're literally gifts. And the question is, what are you going to do with them? What are you learning through them? What are you taking away from this experience, and who are you becoming through this experience? Because, you know, it's easy to just be like, oh, like this sucks, like my life is so hard, why the fuck does this have to happen to me? And just like be in that like victim mentality. But when you can drop into your power and your sovereignty of like, no, life is happening for me, and how can I use this experience to become the best version of myself? So alchemy is about taking something and turning it into something extraordinary. So taking your pain and alchemizing it, transforming it into your greatest rising, into your pleasure, into your bliss, your expansion, your growth. So I've created this online ritual that leads you through like lots of different embodiment practices. There's like writing out the things that you're ready to release, burning through fire, like moving through the body, dancing, breast massage, room massage, all the things. So if that resonates with you, it's called Alchemy, and the link isn't in my bio, but I will put it there.
You can drop it in the comments, the link. And I
yeah,
you know, like, thank you for being so honest and, you know, vulnerable. And that's what I really love that, you know, about your work is, you know, what you share is like all the feels, like, you know, even what I shared is, you know, one of the like poems that you wrote. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. Because I think that's the hardest thing. Like, I think I was the same when I came out of my long-term relationship. I realized I never felt all the relationships that you know. So I was like, I'm feeling you. So when you were like, I was like, you don't feel like you're going to get out of it. So anybody that's right now going through a breakup, you know, feel free to reach out each, you know, because Suze, you know, down here, like people, like I know a lot of my good friends are going through breakups. We can't do anything. So it's feeling it. We're forced and confronted to alchemize it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Like, dive into personal development, dive into like, how can I transform this? How can I move with this? How can I shift with this? Like, yeah, it's, you can use your pain. You can let it become your purpose. And
I love how you said that, it could, be the best thing that ever happened to you. You can really kind of look and reframe it. And like I always say, like, you're creating space even sometimes for someone maybe even more aligned and better on the same wavelength come in. And sometimes when we're so in it, we don't see it. And it could be anything. It could be relationship, job, career, so many different things which if we could alchemize that pain, it really turns into our greatest pleasure. And
Yeah. And it's not about not feeling the pain too. Like you're still gonna feel the pain. And it's really important to feel that pain. Like there's no like bypassing it. But it's in feeling it fully that it's actually like, okay, so with my breakup, like I was able to heal and release a really, really, really deep abandonment wound of my dad leaving. So my dad left when I was 9 when my parents split up. He didn't technically leave me, but he still basically did. So it created an abandonment wound in me as a little girl. And I didn't even know. I had no idea that I had this abandonment wound at all. And had I not gone through this deep breakup that triggered that old wound, I wouldn't have cleared that. So it was like an opportunity to heal, process, and release a deep wound that was being reflected in my life. Like it was showing up in my relationship, and I had no idea that I was moving through life through this wound.
And we don't usually until something really triggers us and something really kind of breaks down, and we have that we've been carrying around this this wounded child that needs love and needs to feel something, and we realize that we don't end up being that functional adult because we're still, when we get triggered or something happens, acting from that place of being wounded. And I think that it's so important to kind of, to feel it, because it is so easy, like what you said, to bypass it. And sometimes we even spiritually bypass it as well.
Totally.
We go, oh, okay. Like I remember I was going through a stage. Do you remember when you came down and visited me and I was doing everything? I was doing like all the things. And I realized, you know what? It was a form of me spiritually bypassing what I was going on, because I was doing so many conscious things, like all the meditation, all the yoga and this, but I was like,
and then you were never still.
I was never still. And this was when people ask me, because we're in this unique time of history, we're never going to be in this time and place again, what was your thing that you've learned now? And I did, from this lockdown, like from the last lockdown, it was definitely the stillness. And in this one, I thought I'd learnt my lesson about stillness, but then I went 100 miles, when I went 100 miles. And then again, it's the universe has told me, be still. And I think that it is a time to embrace that stillness and really kind of go deep and go within. And this full moon, I've been feeling the feels.
Yeah, and that's why I love embodiment work too. It's like it's the embodiment work is the opposite of spiritually bypassing. It's like grounding and feeling and like living, like it's in the body, right? Whereas spiritual bypass is about like kind of bypassing it through the lens of spirituality in the mind, but embodiment is like moving it through the body, feeling it through the body, understanding things through the body, living wisdom through the body.
Definitely. Like I know that like I always do a bit of a ritual when it's kind of new moon and full moon, and last new moon I kind of changed up this ritual, and instead of like kind of, I had a bath, instead of journaling in the bath, like what came up, it was like I felt it, and wow, like it was such a difference for me, like actually feeling a memory and embodying it and processing it that way than me actually writing it down.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah. And that's why I think the work that you do is so important in that embodiment, because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we think that we're embodied. Sometimes we, like, it's our mind tricks us and we're like, yeah, no, I'm really feeling it. Then something happens and, like you said, like triggers you, or, we're in a chat and you're like, no, I'm actually not fully embodied in this kind of self-love and this moment.
Yeah. And I feel like there's always a deeper layer too. Like, it's not like, oh, I went backwards or like whatever. It's like, no, it's just an opportunity to take it deeper.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I always, like, I sing this in Ireland, this, like, thing is, like, life's a bit of a, like a dance, like a cha-cha. Like, sometimes you move forward, sometimes you move backwards, and you move forward.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of getting you to that place, that kind of, that edginess. But, like, at least you're kind of, you're dealing with it. You're not kind of going, and a lot of people, like, shit's coming up for them. It's happening, all the feels are happening. But, I think it's good to kind of, look and feel like, when we created space and, you did for Sacred Sisterhood, we did the sacred sessions and we got a bit juicy with you. Wow. Like, I was like, a few of the women were like, wow, what a journey.
Yes. Yeah. And I would really invite, like, those of you in lockdown, like, allow yourself to dive deep into personal development. Like, there's so many online courses out there that can, like, take you deeper into whatever facet you feel called to go down, and, like, really allow yourself to go there and, like, come out the other side. Come out the other side like a more embodied version of who you want to be.
Yeah, and I think this is so important to, do the work. And if, we're united and joined together, finding a little bit more what that alignment is. And, even through, feeling that embodiment is going to get us a little bit closer to what is our passion, how can I get into my flow, is when we really kind of dive deep and, embody it and, feel it. And I think, that self-love journey is so important, especially when you're looking at birthing a project as well, because a lot of it, why don't we start a project, is limiting self-belief, is that, unworthiness that we may feel, or, oh, what a commitment. But it's always to come out the other side. Oh, so grateful. Sharing your magic with us. And if you want to find out more about what Susie does, check out her Instagram. She's got a link in a bio for her event. And is there anything that you want to leave everyone with before we go?
Just get in your body more. Like, it's so good to just, like, move your hips, or, like, massage your breasts, or, like, just, like, caress your body, like, just, like, do it, and, like, put on a playlist. Like, give yourself, if you're working from home and, like, you're in lockdown, like, put a timer on your phone every hour and just, like, put on a 3-minute song and, like, start dancing. Just, like, move and, like, put on something that makes you feel sexy and, like, goddessy.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. That was so inspiring. Oh. And can you share the goddess song in this? I think that's so important. I'm going to do that every hour, what you said, because I am trying, like, when I'm, like, making a cup of tea or something like that I'll put on a song and kind of, like, just move into my hips. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
Wow. Move into our body, feel all the feels. So much love to you, sister. You've been such an important part of my journey, and we've just kind of, in our travels, interconnected, been to so many Portugal, Ireland.
I know. So fun.
And yoga, and, when we did the sweat lodge at Temescal.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Keep shining bright, and I look forward to doing your workshop on Sunday.
Thank you. Excited to see you there. Thank you. Bye.